Hello there! Yeah, you. Yes, you, the new private. Ah, yes, and welcome to the Panzer Grenadiers, part of the Great Führer's Army. Now then, I'm sure that you're confused a little bit. You know, you might have been on the server for a tad bit, but then again, you just joined a new division. And I'm sure you're very excited. But first, we're gonna have to cover the basics. It's pretty simple, but it's still important to know. So, first things first, the faces. Be it in a debriefing or a meeting, faces are always important. Even while marching, you will always need to know them. So we'll go over the basics. First things first, there's left face, in which you turn left once. Now this private is going to turn to my right, but that should not destroy you. That's what I am seeing. To you, it should be your left. Or right, I can't remember what I was saying, sorry. Okay, there we go. Yes. Now then, let's do a right face. Good, you may have turned a bit too much, because that was an about face, but you have the general idea. So, if you were told to do a left face, and then a right face, as I am demonstrating here, you are going to turn once, and then turn once again. So let's do that one more time. So, do a left face. And do a right face. Very good. Now, the other important one is about face, in which if you are facing forward, you are going to go over your right shoulder, and turn your back to the person in front. You're doing a 180. So let's do an about face. Good job. Now, front face is where you face the front. Also, do it over your right shoulder. There we go. Oh, yep, you might have messed up, but it is fine. Minor mistakes like that won't be a big deal unless you have certain commanders. Now then, as of right now, those are the basic faces. The only one that I did not mention is command and control face. All you do is you look at your commander, or the highest ranking, but normally it's the one issuing the order. So, if I run off that way, you will look at me until you can't see me anymore, in which turn you not follow me. You simply look at where I went. And that turn, I will then probably pop back up and say, haha, good job, you did a good job in training. So let's see command face in practice. Alright, command face. Alright, so he's looking at me, and as I move, he follows me. Very good. Now then, front face. Now, that was the very basics of the faces. Next, we'll move on to something a little bit more complicated. Something that the Panzer Grenadiers, this is our specialty. This specialty being vehicles. Alright, so yes, those are the faces. Let's move on to vehicles. Now over here, you can see our great arsenal of vehicles. We have half-tracks, Panzer IIs, Kummelwagons, half-track tows, and normal troop transports. We're going to start with the very simple, the Kummelwagen. Now, this is the officer's car. Normally, you're not going to see this. The Recon have it, and I believe one officer kit has it. So, it's not going to be seen in action very much. The Recon will also most likely be using a specialty motorcycle, which we won't get to this in this video, because you won't really need to know. But the Kummelwagen is very simple. You have 4 wheels, as you can see, a machine gun on the top, and I believe it can fit 3 people. Now then, Private, hop in. There you go. Now, unless specified, as I have told this private here, you are not to get into the driver's seat. Most likely, you will be sitting in the 2nd or 3rd position. So, private, if you would, there you go. So, 3rd position, I believe, is the MG. So, the 3rd position, or sorry, yeah, that's the 3rd position, and then 2nd position is the other seat. It is very handy to have a machine gunner, though you are wide out in the open. Most likely, there will only be one Kummelwagen inside of an escort or on a mission. Alright, Private, hop out. Something I want to stress real quick is that when on a mission with the Panzer Grenadiers, unless specified, don't just hop willy-nilly into vehicles. Yes, they're big and tough and cool, but most likely, you haven't been given enough permission to do so. I know that sounds really stupid, right? But the big thing is that we are the Panzer Grenadiers, and we are to be respectable. And if we are fooling around with our vehicles, that's no good. Now then, follow me. Alright, here is our other major vehicle, the half-track. And this is a very, very nice one at that. So, as you can see, it has 2 main tires on the front and tracks on the back, being a half-track. Now, this is our main transportation vehicle. There's an MG on the front, and I believe it can fit almost 12 people at most. So, if you would like to hop in, Private, rules still apply with this. Don't just hop willy-nilly. But, most likely you'll be riding on number 2. If you would, Private. Okay, number 2, which is the MG, number 3, which is in the front, or in one of the many back areas. I'm going to hop up in the car and show you the interior. It is very nice. So as you can see by this private, there's a nice little sitting area back here, and even when we're on a mission, do not be afraid to get down and stand right here. And get your gun out and fire. It's not going to be much cover, but it's better than nothing. We'll get to how to deal with vehicle cover later on in this video, but as of right now, if worse comes to worse, don't be afraid to hide inside your vehicle. Now, Private, if you would hop out and follow me. Okay. Now then, as you can see over here, we have 2 of the other vehicles, another half-track and troop transport. Troop transport is very simple. It is a 6-wheeled vehicle. There is enough seat in the back and 1 or 2 positions. Most likely, you do not need. Though all vehicles do need permission to be driven, this one, if you are caught stealing it, isn't going to be a big deal. But don't make a habit of it. If worse comes to worse and you need to get to the front lines quick, don't be afraid to just nab one of those. There's not really much to it. Now then, this is a specialty vehicle. Not very many people will have this. This is the SDKFZ7 tractor. What it can do is it can tow. Later on in the engineer video, and actually probably this one as well, I will show you the effectiveness of this. Actually, Private, if you wouldn't mind hopping in. Okay, so you can see there's a large amount of seats in this thing, and it is fast. Let me tell you, it is speedy. Now, Private, if you do not mind moving and backing up in front of this this troop transport. Oh, yep, and just back up. A little closer, you want to touch. A little closer. And there you go. Now hit control. And drive forward. As you can see, this vehicle can tow other vehicles. It is very handy, especially as the engineer. This is the engineer's main job. Now, Private, if you wouldn't mind coming back. Okay. Now, as you hit control again, the other vehicle will pop off. And do a flip sometimes. Now, this is a little bit of a finicky vehicle, but do not be afraid to use it if you are directed to. It is a very helpful tool, and it is definitely worthwhile using. Now, Private, if you don't mind hopping out. These are the basics of the Panzer Grenadier vehicles. Now, we will show one more advanced one, as if we come over here, and we will show you one of our basic tanks. Now then, this is the Panzer II. We're not going to talk about how to use it or anything like that. We'll simply talk about how to interact with it. So, main thing first. Engineers are the only ones to be in this vehicle. They have the ammo for it, and they have the permission to drive it. They have gone through extensive training to get good at driving these vehicles. If you see one of these, always give a holler. These are normally your friends and will always assist you in the front. Their main job is to kill other infantry and give suppressing fire. It isn't much, but this thing can definitely pack a punch. It does not have a main cannon, and so it's not good to use it against main tank forces, but it is still a good use. So if you see one of these, don't be afraid to stick kind of close and use it to your heart's content, and let the engineer do his job. As of right now, that is all that we have for vehicles, though some may come soon if we have permission. But as of right now, those are the vehicles. Alright, so, here we are. You're fresh in the Panzer Grenadiers, and you're driving along in your nice little half-track. Now, this isn't moving, but let's say it is. Alright, so all of a sudden, some dastardly Americans start shooting at you, and you come under fire. What do? Now, as this private can show, he is in the main machine gun. Now, if you're in the machine gun, don't be afraid to stick around if the driver does. But most likely, if you're not on the machine gun, you don't exactly want to stick around. Half-tracks are big targets, after all. So, what your job is to... If I yell halt while we're in a vehicle or fire from whatever direction, you're going to want to hop out. Private, if you would, hop out. Okay. Now, obviously, this happened very quickly, but we're going to go step by step. So, oh no, we're under fire from the front, right? So, we're going to turn around and look for any kind of cover. Now, Private, punch at any successful cover. Very good. Trees are your best friends. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, we're under fire. Let's get behind the half-track. Snuggle right up to it. But the issue is, if you lay down, per se, to get completely under, as you can see, there's a straight shot. Some dastardly American could fire right through and take you in the head, and that wouldn't be very good. So, what you're going to want to do Sorry, I forgot to add this in, but also, if you're by the half-track, whatever is firing at you is probably going to be firing at the half-track, and they might focus attention on anyone running, but they definitely can rip this thing to bits if they're using an MG. So, as this private pointed out, use trees. These things are durable. Let me tell you, not Jerry, Tommy. Tommy's going to have a heck of a time trying to punch through one of those. So if you're under fire, don't be afraid to run and get behind cover. Now, let's say that for some reason, those dastardly Americans have brought in a plane. I know, how dare they? Backhanded. Now, if they're coming in with a plane, you're going to do something a tad bit different. It obviously depends, but if it is coming from the front, you will look for a tree, obviously, and run behind it. You know, normal procedure. But be aware of where that plane is going, because it could easily circle behind, and oh no, now you're right in the firing line. So then you're going to want to move either around the tree, or to a different tree. Things like this is very simple to understand, and while under plane fire, also look for bushes. They're all right to hide in, they're not the best, but they'll do the job. So that is dealing with half-tracks while under fire.